Hello everyone. Some good news on Easter Sunday for tertiary institutions in Papua New Guinea, particularly universities. The government says it will use the Sovereign Wealth Fund to revamp and revitalize them to come up with the required technical and intellectual manpower to take the country forward. Also, she thought she was going to die during the tragic Rabaul shipping disaster, but Senate Matten of Bougainville survived, and she's not going to waste that second chance in life. An interview with her later. And a profile of Sir Torre Lokoloko, one of our 4 governors general to have passed on. Treasurer and acting Higher Education Minister Don Pollier says a special portfolio will be included in the Sovereign Wealth Fund as a platform to take tertiary institutions, particularly universities, forward. That was Minister Pollier's answer to calls by the University of Goroka, and indeed the others as well, for government funding. The government's fresh look at these key institutions was announced at the 16th graduation ceremony of UOG. Let's first of all look at that university in the Highlands that began as a high school teachers' college in Goroka in the early 1960s. The University of Goroka is one of 6 in Papua New Guinea, the 3rd largest after UPNG and Unitec, but by far the biggest teacher training institution. The others are, of course, the University of Conservation and Environment, or VUDAL, Divine Word, and Pacific Adventist. UOG is located at Mount Humilaveka in North Goroka. It's the only full-fledged university in the Highlands. From a teacher's college in the 1960s, UOG became that in 1997, amalgamating the then college and the Faculty of Education of UPNG. It is now listed as one of the fastest growing learning institutions here and in the South Pacific. In its 15-year history, UOG turns out an average of 900 graduates each year. It receives over 4,000 applications each time. The university is currently into the last of a 3-year restructure. Under this, it addresses various deficits during the transition period from a college to a university. UOG says it is committed to responding to the government's call for more and qualified graduates. But like the other government-run higher learning institutions, it does not get the required funding from the government. Despite that, UOG, at least looking on from the outside, appears to be progressing. This new student dormitory project would be mistaken for a hotel under construction. It's a 5-wing, 7-story hall of residence with major components built in. Named the Agopea Numini, work began in 2011 and is expected to be completed this year. Being built in 5 stages, it is funded jointly by the PNG government and from a Chinese loan. Stages 1 to 4 will accommodate male students, and the 5th is specifically designed for female students. When fully completed, UOG gets 2,000 extra beds for students. That's not to say that UOG is any better than the others. Student dormitories are only a part of many other needs to make universities achieve the desired results. Those were highlighted at the 16th graduation last week. Over 700 came through with diplomas, degrees, and masters in various subjects. Chancellor Benia Sabume and Vice-Chancellor Dr. Gairo Onagi took everyone through what has been done and what needs to be. To attract the best in academic staff for quality output, there has to be corresponding enticements on the ground. They include housing, water, security, and down to the seemingly insignificant but necessary conveniences.
We are likely to see major reforms in the higher education sector from 2015 onwards, including increases in funding. I am confident that the government will give much attention to higher education in the coming years.
Vice Chancellor Dr. Onagi detailed the restructure of UOG, how it is going to be primed to respond to Vision 2050 and the PNG Development Strategic Plan. The restructure focuses on strengthening institutional governance, management, academic enhancement, and leadership. But beyond that, UOG wants to be a leader in the South Pacific region. It wants to go beyond that perception of a teacher training institution. Significant is the introduction of what is called the 3 schools, otherwise known as faculties and headed by executive deans. They are the School of Education, the School of Arts, and the School of Science and Technology. Under them are 11 divisions. These are designed to increase capacity, achieve strong academic leadership, and improve quality. Also, to attain best collaborative practices, UOG has signed MOUs with a number of entities in New Zealand and Australia, as well as Pacific countries and within Papua New Guinea. Under that arrangement, Regional Galileo from Vanuatu emerged ducks in management at UOG. Regional returns to Port Vila this weekend with high praise for UOG and PNG.
I was also very pleased to be the ducks of the University Award of the Academic Excellence. And that is a pride for my country as well, Vanuatu. And it's also an encouragement to other new Vanuatu students to come over and study here.
Among the many other MOUs with local organizations is the agreement with the Department of Agriculture and Livestock.
We are very serious with agriculture too. We are no longer the teachers' college anymore. We are a university full-fledged, so we are offering other courses. And one of the things that the University of Goroka is moving into is to help this region, particularly this province, beginning here, an agriculture high school. This agriculture high school will help us to specialize our young people to till the land.
And what better place can one learn about agriculture than here? The spring Eastern Highlands climate in Papua New Guinea offers the best natural laboratory for all kinds of tests, research into soil, crop yield, and productivity. Eastern Highlands already produces about 48% of PNG's coffee exports, clearly the leader. Governor Julie Soso is well aware of her province's agricultural potential and told the graduation what her government is doing.
I am also negotiating to see at least 10 Eastern Highlands students attending Auckland University in New Zealand to gain agricultural qualifications to come back and enhance the farming techniques of our people to improve their production.
In agriculture or other fields, the planning and the desires are there. What has been lacking over the years is funding from the national government. Treasurer and Acting Higher Education Minister Don Pollier admitted,
we put so much money in the basic education, but I know there's not enough classrooms there. I understand there's not enough teachers there. I understand you need to have the facilities in the classroom, and that's the challenge of the government that I like to address.
There is some good news now. Mr. Pollier told UOG that a special portfolio for higher education endowment will be included in the Sovereign Wealth Fund. That, he says, will lay the platform for PNG's intellectual and technical sustainability for the next 100 years. Of the 708 graduates, over 200 are new teachers, primed to take on teaching roles in high schools and secondaries across the country. Among them is Sanat Matham, a survivor of the Rabaul Queen shipping disaster last year. She lived through the trauma to complete her degree in teaching. That story after the break. Tok Piksa, Senate Matten from Bougainville was one of 300 passengers on board the MV Rabaul Queen on that fateful day, February 12, 2012, when it sank in rough weather off the coast of Finschhafen. More than 200 people lost their lives and a further 170 remain unaccounted for. An inquiry is continuing. Senate, a student at UOG, was returning to complete her degree in teaching when disaster struck. She is one of a few who'd returned from the edge of death. Traumatized, but Sanat persisted with her studies. She is grateful for that second chance in life. And not only that, in this next interview, Sanat may have unwittingly ensured that several others also had a second chance in life. Thank you, Sanat, for talking to us. First of all, you graduated with a Bachelor in Education. You're a teacher now. How do you feel?
I'm very proud to have come this far, because last year I never thought I would have graduated, because it was a very hard year for me.
Hard year in that you were a survivor of that boat disaster. Tell me about that.
Last year, coming to school, I was one of those that sank with the ship at the Finschhafen waters, and I was one of those lucky ones out of those many that sank, and it was very hard.
Did you have to swim? Can you recall something that happened there?
When the ship capsized, I was in the second deck. I actually went down with the ship. And when I was in there, I actually thought that I was going to die because there was no more air. People were fighting, kicking each other. It was chaos in there, and with the pressure of the water, the walls, ceiling, and the floors were coming out. I thought that was it, but then I didn't want to die that way. So I remembered the windows, and then I swam back down. It was still inside. I swam back down, and how I broke the glass and came out, I don't know how I did that, but I did it. And then I came out of the boat, I swam up, and everyone was covered in oil. So I swam out, and then I saw a piece of wood floating on the water, and then I told those few who were around me to hold on to that the raft or something, and then I told them to swim out. I said, you hold on to it, and we all swim out, because if the ship's going to go down, it will all pull us down into the water with it. So we swam out, and there were a couple of people out there already dead. About 2 people, I told them, hold him, Lorafna, you may swim out, but no response. And when I touched them, lifeless, so I just said sorry, and then they sank into the water. After that, I saw a boy. I saw a boy from, he's a student from Gorokatek. Then I called out to him to throw the rope to me. He was already in one of those life rafts. And then he threw the rope to me. I held it on, and then he pulled all of us. And then he started pulling us into the raft. And there were about 13 of us in that raft. We were all students from different institutions. After that, it was very hard for us we tried paddling because we could see the mountains. But because of the huge waves, the winds, and the current was also very strong, instead of taking us towards land, we stayed on the raft for 7 hours. We didn't know what to do. So I told my friends, stop paddling. And those ones who were vomiting, I told them, you have to stop, because if you take out every fluid in your body, then you're going to go weak because you don't know when they're going to save us. Whether today, tomorrow, or probably never. So you have to save that little strength that you have in you. After a couple of hours, those ones who were very weak, they couldn't sit and stand anymore because they were hungry, dehydrated, and they all slept inside the raft, except for 4 of us who were strong, and we were the ones who were balancing the boat and the raft. And I kept on waking them because I was scared that, some of them would go unconscious and just lose it. I kept on reminding them that, we made it out of the boat. If we were to die, we would have died in there, and we have to be strong. There were safety bags in there. I saw water and ration and all, but I didn't want to tell those other young ones because I was thinking if we don't get saved today, it might be tomorrow, next week, or then we have to keep those. So I didn't want to let them know. At around 11 or something like that, we had the helicopter. And we were very happy. That was like salvation, But the helicopters were not there to save us. And that got us really frustrated because they kept on flying high up there. After a couple of hours, at around 1 o'clock, we saw this huge ship. It was a Chinese one. They came and then they didn't know how to speak English too, so communication breakdown. They threw a rope to us, and all they could say was around, 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 around. And I was trying to work it out. What meaning one of me? And then I thought, probably all meaning me must kiss rope not tie him around the raft. So I did that because all the friends blow me. All like make 1 plus something. One thing I'm all must color this ship. So I got that rope and then I tied it around the raft. But because I assumed because it was old, it couldn't stand it. Time Winnie came, I'm just buruk go. Winnie broke him now. Then I told one of the boys, you have to hold on to that rope because if you let go, that's the end of us. Win na karan bakari you again. So I'm holding him now. Then I told them, every one of us is going to climb up that rope. And we will have to let the small ones go first. No rush. Because if we fall off that rope, and then that's the end of us again. So I let the small ones go up, and then the girls, and I told the boys, you will be last. And that guy from Supik, the rope actually cut his hand, but he held on, and I got to be thankful for that too, because had he let go, then we tied big waves, pakarimi plan, and mampla had to look up can this ship. So all the 13 of us, we made it up to the ship. The Chinese were very kind. They gave us towels, clothes. They also fed us well. They gave us herb tea and all that to, clean the sound system because we drank a lot of oil. The youngest amongst us was a 9-year-old boy. And then I traveled on my own, so it didn't really hurt me because me saving me at Pinisa. But for the others, it was very hurting for them because they came with their parents and other family members, and they were just wondering whether all stop life or all die Pinisa.
In the disaster, you are a lady. You were a lady there. You had a lot of strength then. What gave you the strength against all odds to be a leader in that and to supervise what was going on?
I guess I'd say it was from God, because when I sang, and then like I said, I was going to die now, and then I told God, I challenged him, God, if there's one thing I have to ask from you right now, I'm asking to be given a second chance in life.
You were obviously traumatized. Did that affect you in your education?
Yes, and I also have a 5-year-old. He just turned 5, a son, and he was 4 then. And I thought it would be very unfair to him had I died. And I said, no, I got to live for him, and I wanted to. So when he grows up and I tell him the story, I want him to know that I loved him very much and that I can be a better mother. And I also wanted to show others that I can make it and I'm strong.
Okay. Now, you just graduated with a bachelor in education. What are you planning to do? You're going to go and teach? What are you going to do?
I'm actually already teaching.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm teaching at the girls' high school. And,
Where's that?
in Bougainville at St. Mary's Asitavi High School. I'm really enjoying it. I'm also happy that I can finally be together with my son now. And I'm hoping that after a couple of years, maybe go back to do my master's. And I don't want to end here. I still also want to continue.
What do you think should happen to the ship owner right now, Peter Sharp? What should happen to him?
He doesn't deserve to be where he is now. I mean, if you put him on a balance and then you weigh him against the 300 plus that died, I don't know what the laws in Papua New Guinea, who are they for? Like, if a person steals at a store, then all by brukimem, paitimem naguturu, putimem golosela. Na Taiwan kind businessman also make it something, then hard lo putimem. Time planting man died. I think it's so unfair.
You're back to Tok Piksa. Easter burial in his home province of Gulf for Papua New Guinea's second Governor General, Setore Lokoloko, who apparently died from an illness on March 13th in Port Moresby. Setore was known by many as a person of humility and compassion. In this next piece, we look at his life and his final return to your care.
Setore Lokoloko was born on the 21st of September 1930 in Yokia village in the Gulf province. Leadership qualities surfaced early in his life. He was selected as school prefect at Papua Secondary in Sogeri. After graduating, a young Setore commenced work in 1950 as a trainee cooperative officer and married his longtime partner, Lalahaya Meakoro. His natural ability to lead enabled him to move up the ranks quickly, becoming the president of the Federation of Cooperative Associations in Papua in 1966. Setore was ready to lead his people, and in 1968 he was elected as member for Kerema Open in the second House of Assembly. He would remain an MP until the first National Parliament after independence in 1975.
During the separatist times when Papua Presena was being spoken about, was one of the few Papua New Guineans who believed in real national unity and stood with what you might call New Guineans.
In 1977, before elections for the second National Parliament, the first Governor General, Sir John Guise, resigned to contest. Setore, who was in the opposition during that time, was nominated by then Prime Minister Michael Somare as the next Vice-Regal, and he was unanimously elected by Parliament. Those who worked under him knew how humble and considerate he was as a person.
I picked up quite a bit of experience from here because he was a man of a wide, I had a lot of wide experiences. He was a health minister at one stage. He was a cooperative society man, and particularly with people skills.
During his term as Vice-Regal, Setore was knighted twice by Queen Elizabeth II, the first in 1977 and the second in 1982. The latter, the Knight Grand Cross of the Royal Victorian Order, is the most prestigious award given only to members of the royal family and viceroys. Completing his term as Governor General, Setore retired from public life. However, he would always make time available to help those in need.
Very down-to-earth man. Man of all people. Man who gave his life for his country. Man who stood tall among many, those pioneers who led this country to independence.
In the latter part of his life, Settore suffered from respiratory problems, a condition that eventually took his life. During his funeral service, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill said there were not too many nationals like Settore. As a sign of respect, the Prime Minister committed an annual grant towards the local school in Yokea named after Settore.
The words like sacrifice, loyalty, respect for one another come to mind when we talk about Settore. Let us learn from those deeds that this man possessed. The duty to serve his country, the sacrifice for his nation, loyalty to his country, and respect for his people.
The Governor-General Grand Chief Sir Michael Ogio paid tribute to Settore as a man of great zeal and professionalism. The casket of the late Settore left Port Moresby on Thursday, where it was first viewed in Kerema town. It was then flown to Yokea village for the burial on Friday. The legacy of the late Settore Lokoloko is carried on by his wife Lalahaya, 11 children, 40 grandchildren, and 51 great-grandchildren.
Cedric Pajole on the late Settore Lokoloko. Ending this edition of Tok Piksa. Thank you for watching. Another program at the same time today week. See you then.